Hi everybody, this is Peter B. And today I'm going to take you on the lifelong journey of baseball player Ethan Allen. I first became aware of Ethan Allen in the early 70s by playing the game he invented, All-Star Baseball. I just knew that he was written on the cover that he was a former baseball player, and that's about all I knew. I played the game. Wasn't my favorite game, but it was fun. And fortunately, one day my mother was grabbing things for the church bazaar, and she grabbed my game, and it's long gone. So I know him from the game, and I have this Gaudy card of his, just because I like collecting players from the Gaudy set. And it's a cool looking card. And I also have one of the game cards of Rico Petrocelli, because I am a Petrocelli collector. So I figured that, well, let's make a story about Ethan Allen and his invention. But in doing the research, I actually learned that Ethan Allen was a pretty cool guy. Now I got most of the info from the Sabre website, and I encourage you, if you learn anything from this video, to visit that page and learn more about Ethan Allen. He was totally dedicated to baseball, and he was totally dedicated to teaching young players baseball skills. And I really enjoyed the article, and I really have a greater appreciation of Ethan Allen. So let's get into the video. I'm going to give you some statistics first. Ethan Allen was born January 1st, 1904 in Cincinnati, Ohio. And he died September 15th, 1993 in Crescent City, California. He has a 13-year Major League Baseball career playing for the Reds, Giants, Phillies, Browns, Cubs, and Cardinals. His career stats: he has 1,325 hits, 47 home runs. He ended up with an exact 300 batting average, 501 RBI, 84 stolen base, and 7.6 WAR. Now let me get you a little bit of his bio. Baseball defined the essence of Ethan Allen. The game was his lifetime work. A student athlete from the University of Cincinnati, he earned 2 degrees. His hometown Reds signed him in 1926, and he remained in the major leagues for 13 years. In Allen's rookie and sophomore years, he was amazed by how much was not taught to him and the other young players. During spring training, they would do exercise and calisthenics to get in shape, but that's about it. There were no baseball skills being taught. In the 30s, the Reds lost a game because of sloppy base running. Allen recalled Coach Jimmy Wilson offered to present a clinic on the subject, but manager Bill McKinney refused. If they can't run the bases, he said, we'll get players who can. This gave him the idea to write books about instructional baseball and how to play the game correctly. Allen was a fine fielder and a real fast base runner. Although he did not swing for home runs, he is the first person to hit a home run over the 400-foot dead center field wall at Crosley Field. In 1938, after playing 19 games for the Browns, he was released. Now the second part of his baseball life would begin. Allen published his first book in 1938 about baseball instruction. He would publish 13 in total, as well as magazine articles and pamphlets. Allen loved to talk about baseball and was a very good teacher. Major League Baseball decided to do instructional films, and Allen was put in charge of the project. In 1946, Yale hired Allen to become the head baseball coach. He would coach Yale for 22 years and win 327 games. In 1946, he would take Yale to the very first College World Series, but the University of California would beat them. The same thing happened in 1947 and 1948, reaching the World Series but losing to University of California. All of his Yale players always look back at him as being one of the very best instructors they had and a really nice guy. One of those players who was on the team those first 3 years that went to the College World Series was a former Navy pilot. He was playing first base, and he was to become future President George H.W. Bush. In January 1970, the Baseball Coaches of America inducted him into the College Coaches Hall of Fame. But Ethan Allen did something else besides the books, pamphlets, magazine articles, instructional films. He also left an imprint on baseball on one of his inventions, a game called All-Star Baseball. And let me show you what I had as a kid growing up that my mother would eventually give to the church bazaar. But my game looked like this. See if I can get it in without knocking things down. All-Star Baseball, Cadco. It came with player disc of a year prior. And it also had Hall of Fame players. And you would put the disc in those spinners, and the spinner would spin. And I believe if you hit a number 1, you get a home run. So at the time, Joe Morgan was probably just starting his power uppage. So his number 1 spot's kind of small. But that was the cover of my game. The game in 1941 had a cover that looked something like this. This one is from 1942 on eBay. That's where I'm getting these from. Ethan Allen's All-Star Baseball game. And once again, you would get a little diamond, something to record the outs, and then a spinner. So that was the game he devised based on statistics from the prior year. In 1933, while playing for the St. Louis Cardinals, he came up with an idea of the game that broke up players' hitting statistics into several categories. These categories could then be represented on a disc to create a pie chart. A spinner could be placed over the disc to determine the outcome of which part of the pie chart was landed on. In 1941, Cadco Ellis manufactured his game with 40 different player discs, using statistics from the 1941 season. It was sold for $1.25. Over the years, Allen and Cadco Ellis updated their game. For 50 years, Allen would contact every player he created on a disc for permission to use their name. Most players readily agreed. He did come across some players who refused. But in general, a player felt honored to be included, as they were not paid for the use of their name. In 1993, the Major League Players Association requiring licensing fees for all use of players' name, plus the death of Ethan Allen, had Cadco Ellis decided to discontinue the game. 10 years later, in 2003, a more favorable agreement was reached with the Players Association, and the game was brought back for years 2003 and 2004. 2003, they also made a Hall of Fame player disc game. Now, I don't know whether I have a partial one. I bought these for the video, and I don't know whether I have a partial or if this was it. There was not the big names, no Babe Ruth, no Lou Gehrig, mostly 70 guys, some 50 guys like George Kell, Bobby Dorr. These are probably the more known players. I got a Richie Ashburn, Enos Slaughter, Whitey Ford, Phil Rizzuto, Lou Boudreau, Pee Wee Reese, Reggie Jackson, Yogi Berra, Eddie Matthews, Harmon Killebrew. Now, once again, these didn't have the cutouts like my Rico Pecticelli discs that the actual game cards had. Because these were Hall of Fame, they did nice lifetime statistics on the back. And once again, I believe if you hit a 1, it's a home run. So Harmon Killebrew of 500 Home Run Club has a nice big one. Bob Gibson, Joe Morgan, Larry Doby, Brooks Robinson, Mike Schmidt. So those came out in 2003. Whoops, sorry about that. There were aftermarket companies making their own disc, and so you could continue for the years. Cadco did not do the game, and there was a big following. Even Major League Baseball players played the game when they were kids. Oh, and one other, in the Hall of Fame disc, they also included Ethan Allen, who is not a Hall of Famer. They should probably put his game in the Hall of Fame. I'm sure it's there in the museum. It should be if it's not. So, like I said, I started to do a video because I had a card. I had a disc, Rico Pecticelli. I decided to buy rather cheaply the Hall of Fame disc that I got off of eBay. And I was all gung-ho to do a video about Ethan Allen in the game, but in researching, Ethan Allen was actually a decent guy, filled with baseball knowledge. And if you're still listening, I do ask you, run over to the Sabre website regarding Ethan Allen, his page on their website. And you learn more about him than I told you. And he seemed like a very decent guy. All his players liked him. And he didn't like the fact that at the time he was playing in the major leagues, the coaches and manager weren't really concerned with teaching of the game. And so he took it upon himself to do that with future generations. So that's it. Anyone still with me? Thank you very much. And hope you have a very nice day. Goodbye.